The Puck Portfolio with Andy MacNeil.
Hey, welcome to the Puck Portfolio. I'm your host, Andy MacNeil. No, I'm not eating this hat today. I'm wearing it because the Flyers, they're gonna kick ass tonight. I'm telling you. The Flyers and the Islanders, I've got a lot of interest in that one. The Caps and the Sabres, I've got a little bit less interest in the Caps now than I did yesterday because we know Evgeny Kuznetsov is not going to be in the lineup. But Jake, what did you do with your day away from the NHL on Tuesday?
Well, I was looking ahead to the stacked NFL schedule this week. It's Thanksgiving week in the States. It's a huge tradition for families to get together, eat food, argue, and then settle their arguments over some football. So that's kind of where my mindset has been. But I'm
Who do
glad
we
that
have
our
on
Tuesday break.
Thanksgiving?
What's that? Sorry.
Who is matching up on Thanksgiving Day in the NFL?
We got the sort of. It's always the same sort of teams that clash on Thanksgiving. You've got your Detroit Lions, your Dallas Cowboys, Washington, and Green Bay. It tends to be the same sort of rotating group of teams that plays on Thanksgiving Thursday. 3 games on Thanksgiving Thursday, but yeah, back to hockey. I'm glad that our Tuesday day off is behind us now. We got a nice slate of games on Wednesday to look forward to.
Yeah, for sure. And with that, I mean, we'll get into things in a little bit here, but I figure we'll just chat for a little bit because we've got some updates. So first, let's talk about Andre Vasilevsky because John Cooper, Lightning head coach, this morning said that there's a really good chance that Andre Vasilevsky will play on the upcoming road trip. So, talked about it yesterday about how I wasn't willing to play the Winnipeg Jets, even though the model was showing some value on the Jets. But yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit worried about this happening a little bit sooner than we thought, and it looks like that's probably going to be the case because the original timeline was that Vasilevsky wouldn't be back until, mid-December, probably when we first learned of his injury and his back surgery. But now it looks like he'll be back, probably before the end of November here. So something to watch for sure. But it's not going to be Vasilevsky on Wednesday. It's gonna be Jonas Johansson. So if you played the Jets, if you had more stones than I did, and you played the Jets, then you made a good play because now the best you'll find now is probably around even money, minus 102 at NorthStar Bets. It was plus 107, so the Jets ended up being a value play after all. But yeah, I mean there is lots to get to here this morning. So, not only is Andre Vasilevsky nearing a return, don't have to worry about that today, but yeah, Carter Hart, he's going to be in goal for the Flyers at the Islanders today. Carter Hart is 6-3 so far this season. He's got a 919 save percentage, one shutout, pretty good. He'll probably be facing off against Ilya Sorokin, and if we can pull the projections up on the screen here, um, oh, they're up. Yeah, I'm not watching the stream right now. I need as few distractions as possible, guys. So I'm going in blind today. But anyways, as you can see with the projections up on the screen there, the Flyers, I like them today, and I was pretty confident that this line would not stick around, but for some reason it has, and I'm stunned. I don't usually get shocked by too much, but I'm a little bit stunned here that there's not more love for the Flyers. I know that sometimes when the opinions on a team are so low, like they were on the Flyers. I mean, I thought this was going to be one of the worst teams in the league, the worst team in the Eastern Conference, and clearly they're not. But if you look at how things have been priced in the market over the last little bit, you look at the Islanders. I mean, they're just coming off a period where they had to snap a 7-game losing streak. They don't win as underdogs. They've got one win as a dog so far this season, 1-8. And of course, they're not dogs here, and they shouldn't be. But this one should be closer to a pick 'em in my opinion. It should be a coin flip kind of game because you look at how the Islanders have been priced 2-3 weeks ago when they were playing home a little bit more. Teams like the Wild and the Senators and the Red Wings, similar prices or even a shorter favorites against teams like the Wild and the Senators for that matter. But uh, I think the Flyers are better than all of those teams. So it just doesn't make sense to me why the Islanders are still such a big favorite here. And yeah, it's definitely a little bit weird for sure. So looking around here in the market, looks like things are starting to finally trend towards the Flyers here. NorthStar Bets though still at plus 132, up really. That's like 1 cent off the best price in the market, so some value there for sure. But yeah, looks like it's going to be Ilya Sorokin in goal. Has not been confirmed, but he was first off the ice this morning at Islanders skate. So yeah, there is that. The Blue Jackets. They're taking on the Chicago Blackhawks. I think the the Blue Jackets are a little bit too big of a favorite now, but not enough value out there on the Blackhawks really to justify a bet. The model has them as a plus 124 underdog. The Blue Jackets as a minus 124 favorite. Looks like Elvis Merzlikins is going to get the start versus the Blackhawks. Patrick Laine, he'll be back in the lineup. He skated with Fantilli on at Tuesday's practice, so that'll be interesting. Tristan Jarry, he's likely going to get the start for the Penguins on Wednesday, and it looks like it's going to be Jonathan Quick. He was the first goalie off the ice for the Rangers, not Igor Shesterkin, and we've seen a pretty big move towards the Penguins as a result. If you remember yesterday and even this morning, this game was a pick 'em everywhere, minus 110, minus 105 on each side. And now the Penguins, they're trending up, minus 118 at some of the market making books, minus 115 at a lot of others. But you can still find some short prices out there on the Penguins, maybe a minus 110. Yeah. Maybe even a little bit better than that. No, minus 110. That's the best price in market right now for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And yeah, the Penguins are nothing. I did not get a chance to update my projection there. So you see, I thought the Penguins should be a minus 105 favorite if it was Jarry versus Shesterkin. But there's been some changes. Obviously, Quick is going to start for the Rangers. That's a big difference. But Rust isn't going to play for the Penguins um, either. But this one's moved a little bit. I guess if you can pick off an off-market price on the Penguins, it'll be Penguins or nothing for me. But the only bet that I'm adding to my betting card right now, of course, I've got the Flyers at plus 132 from yesterday's show. I've got the Washington Capitals at minus 130. Not as in love with the Capitals play as I was yesterday. Because Evgeny Kuznetsov is going to miss another game. Looked like he would be back because it was just an illness that was keeping him out. But it looks like he will not be in the lineup on Wednesday, and that's unfortunate for my bet on the Washington Capitals. But the only play that I'm thinking about adding, and that actually I'm going to add right here. I bet this one a little bit earlier this morning, but there are some good prices out there. You can get better than minus 140 on the Carolina Hurricanes, and I'm going to lock that in right now. To win a half a unit on the Carolina Hurricanes. Do not believe in this Edmonton Oilers team anymore. And like I said, there are some good prices. The projection model thinks this one should be minus 151 in favor of the Hurricanes. So I'm going to add a half unit play on the Hurricanes here to win a half unit. Sorry, so that is zero point 0.7 units to win 0.5 units on the Carolina Hurricanes at minus 140. That is my third play for Wednesday's NHL action. But let's get back to some news. See what else we've got here. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
Jake?
Connor in the chat found a plus 102 line on the Penguins this morning.
Connor in the chat. Yeah, thanks, Jake. Like I said, I'm not watching the stream today, guys. I'm there's so much to get to. So, Jake telling me that Connor is in the chat, letting us know that he got plus 102 on the Penguins this morning. So, obviously, Connor knew there was a little bit of value there, regardless. And with the news that Shesterkin was going to be out, he made the smart play, got on the Penguins at that price. Yeah, this is the time in the morning when you can find some off market prices as the news is coming out and whatnot. So that great job by Connor in the chat there. But yeah, I mean, Jonathan Quick, he's 4-0-1 so far this season, a 928 save percentage, plus 5.7 goals saved above expected. Impressive stuff from the veteran goaltender. What's that, Jake? We are moving right along here. And yeah, so I want to get to a couple more things here before I talk about what I was going to talk about. And yeah, it looks like going to be Thomas Harley game time decision tonight for the Dallas Stars. And it looks like Jake Ottinger will be in goal for the Stars versus the Vegas Golden Knight. Ottinger has had a pretty good season so far, so he will be locked in tonight against their old rival, the Vegas Golden Knights. Devin Levi starting for the Buffalo Sabres. Still, like, I really don't know what the big deal is here about this kid. He's not playing bad necessarily, but he's not giving the Sabres a lift this season by any means. An 880 save percentage, pretty much playing like a you'd expect an average goaltender to play. So I mean, if that's worth patting him on the back for, I guess, sure. But yeah, not scared of Edmonton's goaltending either. Stuart Skinner in goal, of course. His struggles have been well documented this season. And yeah, it's that's going to be a fun one because he is. Actually, I wouldn't balk at somebody playing a save prop on Skinner just because the Hurricanes might finally really, or sorry, the Oilers might finally kind of show up as a team that's not playing all that well lately. I mean, they were a team that was sort of dominating the shot clock. Really, I shouldn't say sort of. They were dominating the shot clock for the better part of the first month of the season. But since the changeover from Jay Woodcroft to Chris Knobloch, things have not been as smooth for the Oilers. They've been, I think, objectively bad in 3 out of the 4 games they've played under Knobloch so far. Ironically, the game that they played their best in was the game against Tampa Bay, where they blew the 2-0 lead and lost in regulation. So not getting what they deserve one way or the other because they've lost a few games or won a few games that I thought they deserved to lose. So yeah, that is a lot of the major news today. We know Sergei Bobrovsky will start versus the Bruins tonight. We know that Darcy Kemper is going to start for the Washington Capitals. Peter Mrazek for the Chicago Blackhawks against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Taylor Hall could be closing in on a return, I believe, is what I was reading a little bit earlier. I did not have him. Um, did not have him. Sorry, Taylor Hall, he did return to the lineup for a little bit. He's been off and on injured this year, but he is now back in Chicago and will not play, according to Brian Hedger on Twitter. So that is unfortunate for the Blackhawks. Um, but that's going to be a fun game either way with all that young talent on display. So one thing I wanted to get to before kind of quitting for the day, I will be providing some year-to-date stats on Twitter later today. Just have a few more things to clean up, and I've spent the better part of the last week kind of building my own database. I've had the similar things set up in the past, but I really wanted to set something up so that I'd be able to convey a lot more information to you guys. So I'm using the closing odds. Um, and I'm using that to draw insights into different markets, like from different markets, like the regulation 60-minute line, the three-way market, the puck line, of course, the money line, and totals as well. So I'll be tweeting some of that stuff out later today, and I'm gonna probably gonna work that into a segment here. I think going forward because I think you know um, somebody that I credit with kind of inspiring me to get into all this in the first place. So I knew a little bit about him from being on Twitter and just kind of being in the sports betting space a little bit casually. This is in 2010, 2011. But Alan Dinkinson, aka Dink, he was a professional hockey bettor, really the only professional hockey bettor that I had ever heard of. I didn't even know that was a thing, really, 15 years ago. But um, he was the subject of a book called Lay the Favorite, and I actually picked this book up from the library. I was going to Kelowna with my wife, and this is, like I said, in 2011, I think, in the summer of 2011, and I read this book in like 2.5 days on a short vacation. And at the end, after reading this book, I was like, wait a second, like I can do this. I can do this too. And so Dinkin, Alan Dinkinson was a big inspiration to me. He passed away a couple of years ago, unfortunately, after a battle with cancer. But I think I try to think about him in how I do this on a regular basis. And I remember him saying one time that he thinks the best thing that people can do to learn how to bet on sports is just watch somebody that does it. And I don't want to call myself a sharp. I think that word is thrown around a lot, but watch somebody who's sharp, who knows what's going on, and learn and see how much work goes into it. And I think that's kind of what I'm trying to gonna convey here throughout the course of this season is that there's a lot of work that goes into it. It's a lot of hours spent in front of the computer that you guys don't see, logging numbers, updating databases and things like that, so that I can have the insight and have the know-how to figure out where the good bets are, and to feel comfortable that I have and confident that I understand the market that I'm betting into. So I just think that it kind of comes down to that, where you've got two types of people: the people that are going to complain and whine about there being no hockey on Tuesday and Thursday, or you got other people who are using that downtime to sharpen up their betting skills, work on improving how they do things. I always use the breaks in the season to catch up on things, to continue working on projects that I've been working on, because the second you stop running every day, everybody catches up. And not to say that people haven't caught up to how I do things, they have, that's for sure. But yeah, it's you've really got to stay ahead of the game. And I think one of the biggest problems that I see new betters make is that they don't trust their gut. And I'm not telling you to bet with your gut. That's a terrible idea, but trusting your gut is a different thing entirely. So if you're just getting into this, and you're overwhelmed by the all of the different betting options that are available to you, when you're talking about getting in on the action in the NHL, there's a lot, and it's overwhelming. You can bet a team in a lot of different ways to win a game. You can bet them on the money line, on the regulation line, on the puck line, etc. But there's a bit of an illusion of choice there, where people don't realize that all these markets actually move in tandem. They work in tandem together. They're interconnected, and so there's not as many strategies to employ uh, as people might think they are. So if somebody's wondering, like, hey, why don't I bet a team on the puck line a whole lot? Why don't I bet a team on regulation a whole lot? I'm predominantly a money time, overtime included kind of guy. That's what I like to bet. That's my market. But yeah, I dabble in regulation lines. I dabble in puck lines. It's just really tough to find value in those markets, um, because of the interconnected nature of things. So I mean, if I don't like a game, if I don't like a team on the money line, I'm certainly not going to find value on the puck line or the regulation line or anything like that, because the general rule of thumb that I follow is that if one market is off, they all are, and if one market is right, they all are, kind of. And once you get into it a little bit more, you can kind of learn and recognize when things aren't right, and when there may be opportunities and to bet into derivatives, even if you don't necessarily like a game in any other in any other way. But there is the I guess the thing that I'm trying to promote here is trusting your gut. And so if you do the work, and you've got a pretty good handle on things, then I think that you just gotta go with it. I like to take the market's opinions into account for sure. But when I see a situation like this, where the Flyers just aren't getting any respect, even though I think this game should be a lot lower, It doesn't really bother me because I think I'm confident in my process and not confident enough to eat this hat, mind you, but I'm confident in my process and I can and I can see ahead a little bit and where if this result goes in my favor, I think in hindsight people would have liked to play this one a little bit differently and maybe I will feel like I was on the right side, but right now not happy with the value that I accumulated on Tuesday's show for Wednesday's games because really didn't get any value. So not a success here today. I'm a failure, guys. I'm a freaking failure, and that's bumming me out. But I'm still not going to eat the hat. I don't care. That's dumb. That was a stupid thing to say. I said I'd eat this hat if that line stuck around on the Flyers yesterday. It stuck around. I'm not eating the hat. That's a terribly dumb thing to say. But yeah. So anyway, Jake, you got any thoughts on anything I had to say today, or anything you want to add to anything, any of the games that are happening on Wednesday?
Not particularly the games, but just to touch on what you said, I think it's a great insight. A lot of sports betting is intuitive, and it's hard to have that intuition without both trusting your gut and getting a little bit of knowledge. So you need healthy doses of the two, but not rely on just numbers or just your gut. So I think what you said is pretty poignant when it comes to understanding sports and understanding sports betting.
For sure, for sure. So yeah, the live stream has been fun these first few days. Definitely a little bit clunky for sure. I mean, that's my fault because this has been a transition into doing the show, recording the show alone in my basement to doing it in front of an audience. But it's been fun, and we're working on ways to improve it, make it more structure it better, make it more efficient. I know the a big selling point of the show for all of you is that I didn't ramble on a whole lot. I got to the point. I moved on. I told you what I liked. I moved on, and I don't want to lose that for sure. I want you guys to be tuning in every day for the stuff that matters, and we'll work out a way to get that all packaged up neatly into a smaller portion of the show for sure going forward here. But kind of a weird week in the NHL. I mean, usually we're looking ahead. We're looking at 2 days of hockey action. If it's Monday, we're doing Monday's games and looking ahead to Tuesday. If it's Tuesday, we're talking about Tuesday and looking ahead to Wednesday. But with the breaks on Tuesday and Thursday, that makes it kind of hard. We'll be back on Thursday to look ahead to Friday's games, of course, and then on Friday we'll be talking about Friday and looking ahead to the big Saturday slate, maybe touching on some of the games Sunday as well. You never know. Fridays are always a really fun show, so please tune in on Thursday if you don't have any Thanksgiving plans. If you're Canadian, and also tune in on Friday for a big show. But thanks for joining me. Good luck with the bets tonight. The Flyers plus 132 one unit, the Washington Capitals minus 130 to win 1 unit, and the Carolina Hurricanes minus 140 to win zero point 0.5 units. Thanks for joining me. I will see you on Thursday.